We do want to start this hour with our continuing wildfire coverage. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Drew Carney.
I'm Jennifer Meckles. The Elk Fire is now causing more evacuations. The Hinsdale County Sheriff's Office told people in the north and the west of the town of Lake City to get out now because of unpredictable winds and just how much that fire has grown.
The Pueblo County Sheriff's Office, meanwhile, lifting pre-evacuation orders for the Beulah area. But they are asking anyone who doesn't live there right now to make sure they don't go into the community. They say limiting traffic to residents only gives them more privacy and also ensures they have a smooth transition back to their homes.
It does seem like today is the same weather story, different day. Again and again and again. Still hot, still dry. Katie LaSalle joins us now to talk about some of the relief coming eventually.
Eventually, that's the name of the game. The next few days, though, it's going to be, again, hot and dry, 90s on tap, and we could see some near record highs as we get into the weekend. But this morning, relatively mild, 71 degrees. Winds are pretty calm in and around the Denver area for this morning. Mostly sunny skies and highs today topping out in the low 90s. Now, we have another air quality alert for ozone, high concentrations of it around the urban Front Range corridor, and then downwind of those active wildfires, you will find some smoky skies. Now, for today, 93 is the high. Calm winds this morning. They'll start to pick up a touch, but really from the east, that'll keep any moisture off to the west. But a lot of our mountain towns will start to see some widely scattered storms and showers, mainly west of the Continental Divide, where temperatures will be in the 80s from Gunnison, Lake City at 79. But there is some relief. We have more moisture set to stream into the western half of the state, southwestern Colorado, into our San Juans as well. We'll look ahead at some of those rain totals coming up. But for this morning, it is nice and dry and also near record highs for the weekend. But Chris, it sounds like there are some improvements if people are heading to the high country this morning.
Absolutely. That crash that we had to put the traffic impact alert in place for just cleared, Katie. So some good news. I'll get out of the way here. I have 4 cameras brought up. You see traffic moving in 3 of them. That lower right camera, it's still at a standstill. But keep in mind, this backup was roughly 2 miles long. So it won't be too much longer until this traffic starts to move. We'll go over to the map and I can show you the road is back open, westbound I-70 west of Idaho Springs. So we're very happy to report that. Here in the metro area, everything is green on the highway, but we have a couple of issues in Aurora. It's not 225. We're moving fine there, but off highway, we have 2 separate crashes, one on Colfax at 225 and the second one on Iliff just east of Buckley.
All right, thank you, Chris. Getting to our news headlines here at 6 o'clock. Longmont police asking for help to locate this missing teenager. 15-year-old Alyssa Gallegos was last seen Sunday near Durian Court and Purdue Drive in Longmont. She was wearing a oversized black Demon Hunters t-shirt at the time and black pajama pants. Police say that she may have left to meet up with someone, although they don't know who exactly. If anyone sees Alyssa, they're asked to call 911.
2 kids are now facing murder charges connected to a shooting in Denver's Sunnyside neighborhood. Police say a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old were arrested for a shooting that happened about 2 weeks ago. They say Christopher Neighbors was shot and killed trying to stop the pair from either breaking into or stealing his car. About 15 minutes before that shooting, investigators say the very same 14-year-old was involved in another shooting. Police say carjackings are becoming a troubling trend across the metro.
A lot of these times when these people are committing these crimes, trying to steal your car, trying to steal something from your car, you don't know what they're armed with.
Investigators say a third shooting might also be connected to those same teenagers they arrested.
New this morning, officials in Arapahoe County are cracking down on illegal drug activity after a search warrant led them to seize over 1,900 marijuana plants. The warrant was served at a 20-acre property near Dutch Valley Road. Although growing marijuana we know is legal here, deputies say this property did not have the proper licenses to do so. So along with the 1,900 plants, officials also seized an additional 40 pounds of packaged marijuana.
3 drowning deaths in just over a month has Colorado Parks and Wildlife stressing the importance of life jackets. The latest one just happened on Tuesday when a man died after a small raft carrying 3 adults got into some trouble on Cherry Creek State Park. 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon is live at the park this morning. This is such a hard lesson to learn, Courtney. I think people really think that those like paddleboards, kayaking, no big deal, but those winds blow through and people get knocked over all the time on that lake.
Yes, that's right, Jenny, and that's why park rangers are really urging people to always be wearing their life jacket, not to leave it on their board or leave it somewhere else, to have it on your person at all times. So according to Colorado Parks and Wildlife, 9 out of 10 people who drown were not wearing a life jacket, and they have life jacket loaner stations at most state parks, at 25 of them across Colorado. So take a look here. We're at Cherry Creek State Park. This is the East Boat Ramp. They have a life jacket loaner station here, and also on the east side as well as the swim beach. So there's been 2 drownings this month at Cherry Creek State Park. Neither were wearing a life jacket when they got into trouble. Colorado Parks and Wildlife says weather and conditions on the water can change in an instant. Wind can go from 2 miles per hour to 20 in a split second. It's why Park Manager Michelle Subert says it's important to always be wearing your life jacket so you aren't caught off guard in a dangerous situation. She says if you're using a small inflatable raft or something that belongs in a pool, stay close to the shore within 15 feet because they can quickly be blown farther out into the lake.
It doesn't matter if you're a strong swimmer or not. There's different conditions in the lake. There's the water temperature, the weather, if you hit your head or anything like that, it doesn't matter. You know, the water can be very unpredictable and is very powerful. And I think people need to realize that we're not going to a pool. You're in the outdoors where there's unpredictability, and you need to be prepared for that.
And rangers say if you're caught not wearing a life jacket when you're required to, you could face a $100 fine. But if you do have your life jacket, they are starting a new incentive program where they're giving out Colorado lottery tickets as a reward. Live at Cherry Creek State Park, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
All right, thanks, Courtney. Denver's Transportation Department, meanwhile, is asking the city to double its annual funding to meet its safety goals by the year 2050. Dottie says it needs $600 million annually, up from the average $200 to $300 million that it typically gets. Transportation leaders submitted their proposal to City Council yesterday. They say the money would be put towards transportation goals like improving travel to schools and achieving zero traffic deaths. During a committee hearing, Councilmember Chris Hines said he's concerned that Dottie's plans aren't specific enough.
It's just really hard for me to really understand, like, what's the full cost of the need, and are we solving that need? And so as you consider redoing the budget process, perhaps we budget based on where our values are, as opposed to these are just the things that we have, and we've got to spend money on it.
Money for Dottie projects comes from federal, state, and local funding. That includes taxes, fees, and grants.
Children's Hospital Colorado is now facing a contempt hearing as doctors refuse to resume gender-affirming care for minors. The hospital stopped prescribing hormone therapy and puberty blockers to patients under the age of 19 back in January after threats from the Trump administration to cut Medicare and Medicaid payments. Last month, the state Supreme Court ordered the hospital to resume that care after families of transgender patients sued, saying Children's was discriminating based on gender identity. Even with that court order, though, to pick back up those services, the providers say they won't do it. They're scared of the feds, they're scared of losing their license or facing criminal charges. And now the hospital, Children's, claims even though they're complying with the order by bringing back those services as an offering, they can't force the doctors to actually do it. Lawyers for Children's will be back in court on Monday, where a judge will schedule a hearing on those contempt allegations.
Douglas County is joining the growing list of municipalities in Colorado that are ditching Flock over privacy concerns. Just this week, Republican county commissioners voted to replace Flock's license plate reader cameras. They approved a more than $22 million contract with Axon instead. That contract is going to come with double the number of cameras and also a network of first responder drones. The county commissioners cited concerns about how Flock handles its data. Denver and Fort Collins both ended their contracts with Flock earlier this year, and the city of Boulder is also considering going with another provider after it launched a competitive bid process just a few months ago.
This year's Kids Count report shows more than 10% of Colorado children are living in poverty. That report found it costs about $93,000 a year for a family of 4 to meet basic needs, and many Colorado families just aren't there. As a result, the number of homeless families is rising at the same time the number of insured families is dropping. The Colorado Children's Campaign says a growing number of families are relying on some kind of federal assistance like SNAP or Medicare.
Tensions with Iran continue to escalate this morning. The U.S. launched another round of strikes on Iranian military targets overnight, while Iranian state media says that Iran responded by targeting U.S. bases in both Kuwait and Bahrain. The Pentagon has not confirmed any damage.
The U.S. is ready to start imposing a 25% tariff on certain Brazilian imports. This comes following a year-long probe that determined Brazil took part in, quote, unfair trade practices. These tariffs are scheduled to go into effect July 22nd.